Let's turn to interest rates, though. Almost every economist here thinks the Reserve Bank is going to raise rates on Tuesday, but overnight, rates were not raised in America. Why not?
No, they weren't raised, and this is despite the fact that America's showing signs of being a very hot and resilient economy, which would normally lead to the suggestion that there would be more interest rate rises. But instead, for the second month consecutively, the United States left interest rates on hold. So you can see here now sitting at around 5.5%, and they really haven't moved since July this year. But just have a look at that number. 5.5% is US interest rates. We can actually have a look at that compared with, say, Australia, where the cash rate right now sits at 4.1%. And if you consider that the inflation rate in the United States has come down lower than Australia's inflation rate, what it's actually showing is that Australia really has not gone as aggressively as other parts of the world have gone when it comes to fighting inflation. But let's go to Jerome Powell, the chairman of the US Federal Reserve, who really did leave the door open for further rate rises in the future.
We are attentive to recent data showing the resilience of economic growth and demand for labor. Evidence of growth persistently above potential, or that tightness in the labor market is no longer easing, could put further progress on inflation at risk and could warrant further tightening of monetary policy.
Such an even tone. His words are bullets. He knows that. But so what does this mean? How's the Reserve Bank board going to be looking at this? Might they leave rates on hold?
All right, so I'm going to throw something at you here, Laura. And this is something nobody will ever talk about because the Reserve Bank is independent and makes its decisions independently. But let's be really brutally honest about this here. Michelle Bullock, the governor of the Reserve Bank, was appointed barely 2 months ago by the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers. Jim Chalmers, after inflation came out hotter than expected, which caused 33 out of 35 Australian market economists to say that interest rates would rise, came out and said, this is Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer, listen, I don't think maybe rates need to rise. I mean, the markets can be wrong. Why would we need to put rates up now and, disrupt, sort of the economy? So you'd sit there and say, if you've been 2 months into your new job, appointed by the Treasurer, though you're highly independent, what do you reckon you'd do? So, as I say, incur the wrath and the ire of the Treasurer. If you're truly independent, that's what you do. If you're not, well, So, as I say, I believe that Michelle Bullock is highly independent, so is the board. But remember, it is the staff of the Reserve Bank and the Governor that put the recommendation to the board. Now, as I say, most economists say that rates are going to go up. This is, as I say, something of an interesting dilemma. I just wonder whether Jim Chalmers at some point might walk back his comments about interest rates only because it gives the Reserve Bank not much wriggle room. So
what you're saying, Ross, is the RBA board are still human. They live their lives like we do, and they are not impenetrable to commentary like yours.
Well, they'd be conscious of commentary and they, shall I say, the way in which they really impose their independence, in which Michelle Bullock imposes her independence, is by raising interest rates. And that's what most economists say should happen.
Right. That said, how's the stock market today?
OK, let's have a look at the stock market. And what we can see here broadly is that the ASX 200 up by 1%. This followed gains on Wall Street after those rates were left on hold last night, up by 68.69 now, as you can see. So it's a pretty decent start to the day after what's been really a fairly shaky past week or so, with the prospect of that interest rate rise coming next Tuesday.
OK, Ross, great to speak to you as always.